Exercise is absolutely ridiculous. Let me explain this. Most people in this country are overweight or fat, more than 50% of us. And the conventional wisdom is to go on a low-fat diet, reduce your calories, and go out and exercise in a strenuous way to burn off calories. That's bloody ridiculous. Because here's what it does. Number one, fat people can't exercise. We can't do anything strenuous. And what happens when we get out there, okay, I'm going to go for a 5-mile walk today to burn off 1,000 calories. Well, when I do that, number one, I can't do that. Number two is when I try to do that, that's incredibly distressful to me. And when I'm out there huffing and puffing and sweating in the Florida sun, two bad things are happening. Number one, I'm working up a really, really powerful appetite. I'm getting hungry. And number two is, I am feeling miserable. I'm feeling distressed. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling emotionally charged because I am miserable that I can't do the exercise and that I'm having to work so hard. So both from a hunger perspective and from an emotional distress perspective, what do I need to do to fulfill my hunger and to fulfill my emotional distress? I need to eat. And when I eat a substance that makes me feel good, carbohydrates, I feel full, but what do carbohydrates do? They make me fat. So fat people who exercise to try to lose weight in a strenuous way ultimately end up gaining weight because they get hungrier and they get emotionally distressed, and that's the reason we became fat in the first place. Okay? Getting rid of the carbohydrates is the most important thing you can do. Exercise has no role in weight loss whatsoever. However, let me put this into context. The reason we become fat is because we use carbohydrates like a drug to help us to manage our emotional needs, our stress, our boredom, our anger, our frustration, our pleasure. And we do it excessively, that's why we become fat. Ultimately, if you want to lose weight and keep the weight off, the mechanism is to change the mechanism you use to manage your emotional needs. Away from consuming a substance to prop up those emotional needs, toward doing things, toward doing fun things, and blowing off emotional steam by doing things rather than by consuming a drug called carbohydrates. The foundation of doing things is something called physical activity. But physical activity should never be strenuous because otherwise it becomes distressful. Physical activity should always be fun. It should be emotionally liberating, and then you're going to do it more often, you're going to desire to do it, and when you're out taking a stroll, you're feeling good. You're processing your emotional stuff, and by the time you get back 2 minutes later, it doesn't matter how long it is, it should not be strenuous. You're feeling better. You haven't burned a lot of calories, but that's unnecessary because when you feel good, you're not going to eat the carbohydrates that made you fat in the first place. It's better to go for a stroll on the beach and look for shark's teeth than to go for a run on the beach. It's better to walk to the edge of a pond and go look at the ducks at play than try to walk 10 times around the pond. It's better to get in the pool and splash around than it is to do laps. Do fun things that are physically active, and you will get the equivalent or better emotional emancipation to what that drug called carbohydrates did. And as you lose weight, you'll be able to do more and more things, and then you can challenge yourself to do more things. Not for the strenuous activity of burning off calories, but for the pleasurable activity of blowing off emotional steam. That's the role of physical activity. It is ridiculous that exercise is in any way, shape, or form associated with weight loss. Crazy.